Hey y'all, today I'm going to go over another example and system of equations. Now in the last videos or in the previous videos that you'll see, I've worked with either substitution or elimination method. So on this one, I'm going to try to go with elimination as best as I can and kind of give a detailed description of like what my process is as I go through this. So I'm going to focus specifically on elimination on this one. So let's go ahead and look at the problem first and kind of read what they tell us and we'll kind of determine what we're looking at. So Justin has 31 cents in his pocket, all of which are dimes and quarters. So if the total value of his change is 5.35 cents, how many dimes and how many quarters does he have? So right now we're going to be looking at, like I said before, we got to set up two different problems. One will be for the total amount of change he has. So I usually call it TC, total change, but the idea behind it is the physical quantity is what I would want to say. So if I reached into a pocket or reached into a jar and grabbed some random change that's in there and started counting it, like how much actual coins that I have would be one specific equation. So what we'll say right now is that we already know how many coins they have. I mean, we know how they have a total of 310 coins. That we know that that's for sure fact. So what we can do here is we can say is equal to 31 coins. And what we can say now is D plus Q. Now the reason why D plus Q is because we have dimes and quarters. So dimes and quarters we'll work with, but if you were working with pennies, nickels, half dollars, whatever you wanted to call it, that's what you would use in reference to them. So if there were more variables, you would add more variables. So with elimination or substitution, it doesn't matter how many variables you're actually working with, the same methods kind of apply, but depending on when you get to above 3 or 4, you kind of have to work on them differently. So since these are kind of a 2 by 3 kind of arrangement, or they have two variables, we'll work with it like this. So then the next one, we'll go ahead and say that, well, we know the monetary value is 535 cents. However, the problem with this one is don't go and jump in right away. We're looking at this as a total of cents. We're looking at this as a total of, they're not telling us, they're not giving us a quantified dollar amount. So we wouldn't want to use the actual value of how we would represent it as a dollar. So right now I'm going to say 10D plus 25Q. And the reason being is because they're saying it's a total of cents. I don't know. Essentially, I know that's $5.35. But they're not telling us that. They're telling us it's in total 535 cents. So they're not actually physically telling us, oh, this is $5. So when we're working with decimals and stuff, you usually want to match what you're working with. So if I was working with decimals, I'd be working with decimals as a monetary value. But in this one, they're not. So I'm going to use just the representation of how much it's actually worth. In that case, it's 10 and 25. So this is going to be the go-ahead steps to working with it. So we already know we can list them out. So I'm going to list out my first equation to be 10D plus 25Q is equal to 535. It doesn't matter which one's first or second. All I'm trying to do is give myself an arrangement to how I would want to structure my setup for this. Alright, so now with this, or when we're doing elimination, I say always just select the variable. Now the reason being that I want to select the variable is because of the fact that I don't want the people to be thinking, oh, that I'm choosing a specific variable. No. Choose one and do not think of anything else. So select the variable. So right now in this one, I'm going to select D. I'm going to be selecting right now dimes, or working specifically with dimes. Now the idea behind, so that's step 1. Step 2 now is that they have to be the same value. They have to have the same constant there. They have to have the same number in the front. So I noticed that for this one, in this representation, I have 10 and I have a 1 here. So what I need to do is I need to go ahead and make sure that 1 now is a 10. So make constants the same, or make number the same is really what I would want to tell y'all. So in this case, I would have to multiply my whole thing by 10. And remember, you don't multiply just to one piece, you multiply it to the whole thing because you're messing with the whole equation now. So, but then the third step is they need to make sure that they are opposite signs. Now, are they opposite signs right now? No. So the idea now is that we're multiplying the whole thing by -1. Well, what I'll do is you'll see right now is I'm going to combine certain things to just kind of make it faster. And as you get faster, you don't have to write all these steps down, but just just for the sake of argument, when you're working through them at the beginning, just do what you got to do, to arrange it in a manner that works best for you. So with equation 2, so I'm going to just rewrite equation 2 inside of parentheses. I'm going to say D plus Q is equal to 31. Now remember, I'm trying to cancel the essentially dimes. Essentially, that's the one I'm trying to cancel. So in order to make that happen, I'm going to essentially multiply by negative 10, which I really just combined these two together. If the D on number 1 was negative, I would have made it a positive on the bottom one. So you're just obviously flipping the signs, making sure that they're not the same. So when I distribute this inward, I will get, remember, I'm going to be multiplying this all the way through. So I'll get negative 10D minus 10Q is equal to negative 310. So now we will set them up and add vertically. And that's actually the fourth step. Set up equations. Add vertically. So we'll see here now that when I work with it, I now have my second equation overall was now negative 10D minus 10Q, sorry, this is supposed to be Q, is equal to negative 310. And then on my first equation, which I should have is 10D plus 25Q is equal to 535. Now remember, the whole idea is that we want to cancel these. So you actually just add vertically downwards. So the idea is that they need to cancel. If you didn't cancel, then something went wrong after you selected a specific variable. So my variable that I'm canceling is this one. 10 minus 10, essentially, that goes down to 0. Now we just continue with the rest of them in the same manner. 25 minus 10, that gives us 15Q. It will be positive because the 25 is a bigger number, so we're going to keep that as a positive. Now 535 minus 310 is 225 now. So then now we have 15Q is equal to 225. I don't have to write 0D. You could just leave it alone. You don't have to put the 0 there, but if it helps you out, don't stress it. Just go ahead and put it. So then I'm going to divide by this, and then we'll say what is 225 divided by 15. We see that it actually is just 15. So out of the 31 quarters that or out of the 31 change or whatever he has in his pocket, 15 of these coins are quarters. So then now we'll just go ahead and pick an equation. I usually say just go ahead and grab. I'm going to say grab the second one. I normally say grab the first one, but it's easier to work with the other one. It's just I don't want to work with bigger equations. What's the point? So we'll subtract right now. 15. Sorry, actually, I'm jumping the gun here. We will be replacing is what I want to say. Remember, my Q's become just like parentheses, and inside of it, we go ahead and put 15s. So then now our equations are just D plus 15 is equal to 31. We can subtract 15, subtract 15. So then our lastly, D would be equal to 16. So then the overall ordered pair, the overall solution to our problem is that D is equal to 16 and then Q is equal to 15. So that just turns out to be it. So if you have any questions or any more concerns, please go ahead and email me or send it in comments or go ahead and do anything to signal me. Help you out as best as I can. Thanks a lot.